Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. Today's topic: Arab woman scapegoats racial racist hatred toward American blacks. Again, the topic today is Arab woman scapegoats racial racist racial racist hatred toward American blacks. When I came across that video of that particular Arab woman minimizing the living toad's tongue out of basically racial racist hatred that goes toward the American blacks, and then makes some of the most illogical, infantile assumptions, unconstructive assumptions relating to American blacks, and why or how come it's really not really racial racism or contradictoriness from scapegoating 1 minute toward American blacks and then saying, "Oh well, there's really no hatred of Arabs toward basically blacks," which is the outright lie. And she's a very much coward for saying that nonsense. And whoever else believes that nonsense, who know they are. Now, unfortunately, because supremacists is so brilliant, and they are the masters of playing mental manipulation tactics upon millions of American blacks, with few exceptions, that they understand that, again, with those few exceptions, and especially in modern times, it's not very difficult to do mental manipulation tactics upon American blacks overall. And this topic is no exception. Let me play something. Uh, this is how numbers of supremacists look upon American blacks. Because they understand that they're utilizing so many different cultures and backgrounds, ethnicities, various parts of the terms of lifestyle category, personnel that are able to slot under the genericality of category black, and sit back and just utilize black pain. And this is why, again, I have to say the American blacks overall only have half a generation to one generation left before the overall collective destruction of the American black culture. See, the thing about it is when that particular Arab woman and her nonsensical rhetoric that she obviously has no clue about anything about realistic reality about American blacks because Arabs are Muslims. And there's such a confusion on that. Are Arabs Muslims or Muslim Arabs? And that's the brilliance of supremacy. Because either way, you say, show me where in this video, just a little bit, show me in the video where you would have seen, and show me where you would have seen an Arab, Arab's waiting room like this. Show me where you would have seen a non-black Muslim waiting room. This show would have been a Muslim waiting room. You see, I said specifically black Muslims because again, that's a different topic. I'll talk about just a little bit. but just to say Muslim in general, because most people think, and I want to go there. So show me where again. Oh, that foolish person that made that particular arrow that made that foolish, those foolish scapegoating comments. She can show her where is the Arab colored waiting room. Show again where there's a Muslim waiting room like this. So you have people that have gotten so comfortable now with insulting the American blacks that it's becoming second nature, third nature, fourth nature, fifth nature, sixth nature, because they understand that there is no accountability that is put back on whoever numbers of infantile thinking numbers of personnel who are insulting American blacks just for the fun of it. Because again, they know that there's not going to be any kind of accountability back to them. And this definitely is no exception. This particular Arab woman felt that she felt the need to sit there and scapegoat the American blacks and act as if black folk, American blacks are really not going through too much and things like that. And it's as if Muslims are going through all kind of stuff, or Arabs are going through all kind of stuff. Are you piss duck crazy? Show me where the Arabs or Muslims were in plantations left and right, not a long time ago, for generations, and they were sitting there trading off Arab women by numbers of males within the Paname's culture that was sitting there trading off numbers of Arab women anytime they want, and they were sitting there boat breaking Arab men and Muslim men. Do you see how silly that sounds? Show where they had these Arab codes at, Muslim codes, left and right. Show where they had this Black Tulsa uh, racial massacre for Arabs and Muslims in the states. Please go ahead and show that where the numbers of personnel within the Padama's culture was going there and fire booming from the sky. Extreme domestic terrorism toward a culture nobody else, no Asians, no Hispanics, no Native Americans, no terms lifestyle category that wouldn't even been around in 1920, 1921. First of all, right? None of that immigrant stuff going on. No one else got fire boomed ever in their communities like American blacks. And that was early 1900s. Oh my goodness. But let me go ahead and just play that video because I was going to read some comments before that and then go to the video and then read some more comments afterwards. But before I do that, play the video. When I was sitting there looking at and reading about, because again, I'm not going to go on all of the a lot more of the details. One wasn't going to do that at all. So I would just say this that because for many American blacks that really don't care the difference between Arabs and Muslims because the American blacks have so much black pain to keep American blacks sufficiently busy, besides the sellouts and gullible ones, with the few exceptions, to be talking about what's the difference between Arabs and Muslims. Because the thing about it, not all Arabs are Muslims, and not all Muslims are Arabs. And that's one of those things that is still not not talked about enough on that. Because when you got people saying Arabs and they think Arabs are Muslims, then think Muslims are Arabs. And it's like, wow. And so the confusion keeps going on that part. So let me go ahead and just play that particular video about this Arab woman that scapegoats, right? Her racist hatred toward American blacks. Let me go ahead and uh, Let me go ahead and play it. Give me 1 second. Go ahead and play this. Go ahead and play this. 1 second here. Because when I saw this, it was just ridiculous.
Why do Arabs hate black people? I was asked that question. Arabs don't hate black people. Newsflash. Okay, our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his imam was a black guy named Bilal. So they have nothing against the black race. It's just majority of Arabs or Muslims that dislike black people have either been wronged by them or like some way wronged or have heard stories of multiple people being wronged or like taken advantage of or murdered or something by that race. So they hold a grudge against that race particularly, but not all Arabs hate black people. It's against our religion to like discriminate against skin color, especially since there are a lot of black Muslims and we don't judge about them. So it's majority of whenever Arabic people are like cautious about black people, it's either because something happened or they just heard a story. For example, 9/11. How do
The silly nerveness of what she was saying in so many different ways. Says Bilal, first of all, was not Iman of the Prophet Muhammad. Is she silly? Says Bilal, says Bilal had the honor given to him by the Prophet Muhammad to be the first person to call for prayer. So how can he be an imam and the Prophet Muhammad gave Bilal the honor to be the first person to call out the prayer? The silliness. It's like the ignorance of that. And then his fool said something about talking about, oh, we have black Muslims. See, she made a mistake. First of all, she said it, but then she don't know what she was talking about. Because first of all, yes, there are black Muslims, but what she did not say, as usual, how many people do this kind of nonsense. They don't talk about the black Muslims that sit there and have the racial racism by another person within the Panamanian culture and various others because they don't see a belief in a religion of Islam. The first thing they see, right, is unless they have something that some anyway. So the whole point is they have some kind of outerwear or something on the head that somebody might assume that situation, but overall, otherwise than that, you won't know. So first they see black skin, right? Don't think about, oh, that's a black Muslim right there. Oh, they must practice Islam. You see the ignorance of what this person said. So you got black Muslims that sit there and get discriminated not only just on the racial context, but they also get discriminated based upon various other, what you would say, numbers of white Muslims. So you don't want to talk about that. I was reading this thing called anti-blackness in the Muslim world. Let me say it again, called anti-blackness in the Muslim world. And then it goes all over the place, and those complexes and complex that. Isn't it interesting? It's very complex, but things when it's relating to racial racism toward American blacks, it's not really complex. Oh, we just need black folks needs to get over it. But let me just read some of these comments because I don't want to make this show too long or so on that. Uh, oh, and by the way, she was talking about how she's making all these illogical, infantile assumptions. Oh well, some Muslims, Arabs, oh some black folks have took the life of some of them. What? Show me all these different type of American blacks that were sitting there taking the lives of Arabs and Muslims. Is she on some desert rat juice or something with that nonsense? Is she really crazy on that? He said, "What's the population of Muslims in America?" And first of all, which Muslims? Because there's different kind of Muslims. Muslims are not one look person. Lee, is she on some again some jungle rat juice? A Muslim does not just look like a singularity person. So when he said Arab is a people, personnel of people that speak an Arab language. Lee, right? But see again, unfortunately, certain numbers of American blacks have been programmed to think that's what a person Arab is. That's what a person Muslim is, right? Right. So her ignorance, right, of saying that nonsense. Oh well, I've kind of heard also, some Muslims and some Arabs and some black folks that were doing which blacks when the population of Muslims is not gigantic. And certainly the population of Arab speaking personnel in America is certainly not going to be large. So what's she talking about? And you talking about within the last couple of generations, there still was a small amount of Arabs and our Muslim type personnel, non-black Muslim personnel. So what is she talking about? And also, she didn't really basically say where she's in America. She didn't say if she was from a different type of Muslim country overseas somewhere, right? So again, hiding behind the computer and not sitting there saying certain things, right? And see, unfortunately, again, many numbers of American blacks, unfortunately, that has been programmed with just believing or just accepting across the board, however many people from whatever backgrounds and cultures and ethnic backgrounds, language speaking, immigrants, it doesn't matter. Put them first and American blacks last. And you get laughed at when people allow American blacks get laughed at overall when you do not, or American blacks do not put the American blacks first. This is what however many other cultures do. Let me read you some of these comments on this. Let me read you some of these comments. This person says here in the UK, this is an everyday occurrence, especially in the professional sector. There is a cold war between the Africans and the Asians slash Arabs. When the Asians slash Arabs arrive in a workplace, the Africans start to leave or are pushed out. She don't talk about that, does she? Of course not. So she just say in generalization black, right? She didn't say if she's talking about American blacks. She's talking about personnel from the African continent. She's talking about some of the, I guess you would say, Black Caribbean personnel. She didn't say anything. She just made some generic piece of crap statement saying black race. Well, she know nothing about anyway about black race. First of all, let me sit there and show you something before. Let me show you something else beforehand before I go into that. Right, and I want you to keep this in mind. And certainly, how many numbers of Arab personnel have certainly not seen this? How many numbers of Muslim people have not seen this? And I'm talking about in a stereotype way that people think what they think is Arabs and Muslims on that. But I want you to keep this in mind on this.
Oh, I come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. As I going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. Oh, it rained so hard the day I left, the weather it was dry. The sun so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me. I've come from Alabama with my banjo on my knee. Oh, I had a dream the other night when everything was still. I thought I saw Susanna dear coming down the hill. The buckwheat cake was in her mouth, the tear was in her eye. Says I was coming from the south. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, don't you cry for me.
And by the way, I'm using these things as fair use as doctrine. Uh, where is the Arab personnel at? or numbers of Muslim people person where this is going on. Show me where they call it Arab face. Show me where they call it Muslim face. See, it's easily to defeat that nonsensical crowd what she said and make her look like a silly fool. I mean, the disrespect that spewed out her mouth and making all kind of nonsensical scapegoat assumptions about black folks, that black race that she knows nothing about. But again, she felt so comfortable of again insulting. If she's talking about American blacks, because I'm thinking that's what she probably is going more toward, because there's no such thing as African black race. So I'm gonna guess now with logical analysis, she's talking about the American blacks. Don't know nothing about the American blacks. Again, wants to then show you a second ago that kind of black face. Show the Arab face. Show the Muslim face. But see again, when we put reality based knowledge, see some people try to do this.
Sorry, Kevin Bacon wasn't in Footloose.
What? Of course he was.
No, he wasn't. You lose.
Of course he was. He was the star.
Nope, you're wrong. Look it up.
I don't have to look it up. It's common knowledge. He was on the cover of People magazine when the movie. Everyone knows Kevin Bacon was the star of Footloose. It was a huge movie. He was the lead. No.
And so to think about it, see, this is what also happened because there is a certain section. Again, there's good Arabs, there's bad Arabs, there are some good Muslims, there are some bad Muslims. But see, I'm not going to play some little silly little tactic or accept some little nonsensical agenda, right? Of course, there is some good numbers of Arabs, some good numbers of Muslims. Because first of all, there are high numbers of persons in Africa that are also Muslims. There are numbers of African personnel that also speak Arabic. Right. But see, they're not talking about that. See, they're talking about, oh, they want people to have this perception or what they think of a Middle Eastern type person. And you start looking at some of the most populated of Arab countries, a populated of Muslim. You say, wait a minute now. There's other places that have more population of Muslim type personnel than what they think is the Middle East. Right. But see, again, they'll say, "Oh, wait a minute, but it's not. Oh, wait, don't say that. Say what? You know what you're about to say? What? I was about to say, because you're talking about Arabs and stuff like that. Even though deflection, right? What this Arab lady was talking about. Well, it's not all. Because I am not gonna play none of that nonsense. Because for me, again, I'm at that age bracket where I'm just not listening to this nonsensical infantile behavior. I cannot. I can't. I can't. Especially when it's ridiculously obvious. It's like if somebody's gonna play games, at least make it a good game to play. But you have numbers of, since it's talking about this particular Arab woman, and however numbers of Arab women and Arab men are just like her. How many number of Muslims, not talking about black Muslims, in this situation here, we're talking about, we're not talking about that. But how many number of stereotypical, what we think is Muslims, how many of them can't stand blacks, American blacks? Right. And this is what they're doing. Yes, that's what they're doing. This is what they're doing. But going back to some comments about that, I'm going to reread that first comment on that. Here in the UK, this is an everyday occurrence, especially in the professional sector. There is a cold war between Africans and Asians slash Arabs. When the Asians slash Arabs arrive in the workplace, the Africans start to leave or are pushed out. And I'm saying that she definitely did not bring that up, right? Now, again, I'm thinking she's more talking about American blacks, but she can't probably, well, not her personally, but her actions, probably can't even stand numbers of African personnel herself, right? She probably thinks she's better. And she would be the one of the first type people, not herself personally, but people just like her will run to Africa grab those stuff. Let me phrase it, because there are numbers of Arab type people, obviously in Africa, number of Muslims, but original, obviously they were not. But that's whatever on that topic on that. So the thing about it is relating to the American black herself, not her person, but herself, and how a number of the personnel like her, be it numbers of men, be it women, besides some of the good ones, will run to America as fast as possible and move to different places very quietly, not say too much, couldn't care less about black pain going on. That happens every day. You don't hear Arab pain going on every day. You don't hear Muslim pain going on every day, but black pain going on every day. And many of them don't care. And again, this is not about some of the good ones out there who know they are. They understand this don't apply to them. Now, again, with that being said, it's not going to be some gigantic amount, right? And the system knows this. But the response back to that UK comment, this was a response, as I was saying. And the crazy part about it, this person had a Caribbean name in her title. This was wild about it. And they said, wow, they are usually the better workers. So it makes sense. Wow. So this person threw an insult out. And then the person replied back and said, I disagree. From your perspective, it may be that way. But in my experience, when the Asians arrive, excuse me, maybe also talking about slash Muslims arrive probably too. But when the Asians arrive, or certain ones, and are given any position of power, things start falling apart. Tensions arrive in the workplace. They're not as good as blacks when it comes to problem solving. And all they want to do is rise to the top while doing as little work as possible. And then they said, and did I mention how they employ only their family members and country people? You see how that go? And this is what they be doing too, be it numbers in Africa, be it numbers in especially America. This is what they doing, right? You speak in reality. They know the one I'm talking about. They know it there. They deflect infantile games that unfortunately millions of American blacks haven't figured out. And somebody like her, not her person, but somebody like her that has a little bit of not black melanation, obviously, that but they phenotype what we think is a stereotypical Arab slash Asian, Arab slash Muslim person, right? Has a little bit of pigmentation to this person, and millions of American blacks would call them people of color and minority. And you know what happens again when millions of American blacks make that assumption? Because that's what they do. Numbers of Arabs and the numbers of Muslims who know they are. I'm not talking about the black Muslims or anyway, I won't go there on that. But I'm talking about specifically more toward the stereotype versions, because when this Arab, particular Arab woman said what she's saying, that scapegoat nonsense, as if she knows a lot of American black folks, as if American blacks are sitting there robbing up stores by Arabs left and right, and sitting there removing their lives and stuff like that, and harming numbers of Arabs all over the place, like that nonsensical anti-Asian nonsense rhetoric going on. Even though, again, I don't want to go there. That's not the topic. That's not the topic. So that's the topic. That's not the topic. I'm just gonna say this. Even though, again, there are so many different videos of what we think are called Asians, or what is called Asians, right? The stereotype versions of Asians showing this blatant, extreme anti-blackness, right? This hatred toward them. But again, various parts of media make sure not to want to show that, right? But the number one uh, uh, racial group in America that has the most hatred put upon them is not Asians, is not Native Americans, it's not whites. And ethnic groups, Hispanic groups don't even come close. It's the American black. But no hate crime bill for the Pacific American blacks. And unfortunately, quite a number of American blacks still don't get it and gonna sit there and vote next year. Just like nothing is going on. No tangibility concepts, no constructive outcomes for their vote. And I'll say again, the American blacks only have half a generation to one generation left before the overall collective destruction of the overall American black culture. And then it becomes like even more, it's going toward that now that American blacks, very few will be cultural POWs. But let me sit there and show you something here. I'm sorry, let me read a couple of comments 'cause I'm trying to wrap up this particular show on this. Uh, so one of the comments says, just spread love. Do not hate. You see, that's so nonsensical part that you hear certain numbers of personnel with a predominant culture that will say that nonsense. With few exceptions, right? Spread love and not hate. You say, wait a minute now. So before you were born, spread love, not hate. And what is that and what the outcome got to still black folks who were sitting there still collecting loving numbers of personnel with a predominant culture? And what did they still get them? Black pain before they were born, that generation before that. What was that spreading love and not hate given to American blacks? Black pain, Civil War stuff. What was going on? American blacks were sitting there fighting for the country more than anybody else beside American whites. And what was American blacks still getting? Black pain. 21st century. American blacks still spreading collective love to other different cultures, where other cultures can run right into black neighborhoods when they want to, when numbers of personnel within a predominant culture don't want them there, with few exceptions. And what do some of those personnel still provide American blacks? Black pain. Another comment. Uh, we can't say we don't like other groups because something happened, even though something happens for most of the time, right? People would not allow it, right? They'll put us in our place. People can be ridiculous sometimes. That is very extremely logical, right? American blacks just can't be like, I don't like other groups, generic statement, because something happened. That won't be tolerated. But many American blacks are back tolerating this nonsense overall, with few exceptions. And you will not get no respect when that stuff, those kind of things continue to keep happening. Another comment says, I have heard this same argument with various races of people against American black people. It is not new or unique. That's right. Which makes it normal, basically, right? Because it means it's become accepted to millions of American blacks, with few exceptions, that other cultures, backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, certain religious beliefs within certain parts of that can sit there, certain immigrant groups or personnel within certain immigrant groups, et cetera, border breaking, illegal immigration personnel can just insult the crap out of American blacks. And again, they understand that much of American blackness, modern day, right, have become more weaker, with few exceptions. And the system knows it, and various other personnel that I just relayed over, they know it as a collective, with few exceptions. And so another person said from an early comment, very true. I witnessed this firsthand. They say they live and work in the UK. So I want to play a couple of more different videos before I close this out, right? On this. Let me play this right for a second. And just remember this from this particular app about this. This is supposed to be an Arab woman, right? This that's speaking this particular nonsensical anti-blackness, or we can be construed as anti-blackness, right? With her scapegoating ass lie, scapegoating lies.
But when the Romans disgraced themselves in the mismanagement of Christianity, they created a Velcro. Islam moved into that Velcro. The Africans thought that Islam would get the Romans off of their back. They were right. Islam got the Romans over their back, and the Arabs jumped on their back, and they're still there.
Ooh, home run, the greatness of Dr. John Henry Clark. Oh my goodness. See, if the American blacks, oh man, were reproducing those black scholarshipness, not the fake, not sellouts. So there's nothing like the black scholars back in some of the 70s, but especially in the 80s and 90s. There is no comparison now to those American black scholars that many have passed on, right? Even like those great ones, like the that's still around at this moment, at this time, Dr. Claude Anderson, right? Brilliant black scholar, right? Dr. Claude Anderson, right? People that have passed on, like Dr. Amos Wilson, right? Or Dr. Francis Cresswell. I mean, great scholars, right? Or the hardcore strong blackness of like Mr. Khalil Muhammad, right? See, strong American black males and the American black woman, right? So when somebody insults, especially like the foremothers and forefathers, American blacks, and make these crazy, silly assumptions as if she's talking to she's talking to just nobody, right? So let me just show you a couple more videos so I can close this out here. Before I play this other video, let me show you something real fast. This right here has been in the news for a while, a little bit of time here and there about this balloon situation that they were saying that was from China and they was doing surveillance. Well, you see on this on the balloon, it says something about weather, or somebody transposed this image on the balloon. Weather Baru Hotel. Let me play. I gotta take this off for a second. Take one of those bottom part. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. Let me play that. Let me play that again. Let me play that. Let me play it again. Right? And you got numbers of Asian personnel or certain sections of Asian personnel that were mad and calling this particular Republican person racist. You're talking about the goose calling the geese white, right? The nerve of some of these Asian personnel who know who they are. I'm not talking about the numbers of the good ones, okay? I'm not talking about the numbers of the good ones on that, because again, when people try to play the game, even on that section, right? Oh, were you talking about the Asian personnel a little bit? Because it's not all. Because again, I'm not playing that game on that part too. But I make this point because again, you had numbers of Asian personnel, and it's unfunny how there's a certain section of certain Asians of that whatever that certain non-small percentage are the ones that you um so the thing about it is that it is ridiculous how, see, there are certain numbers of Asians again on a certain hierarchical, because there are certain Asians that can't stand other Asians. There's like certain type of Asian country within certain parts of certain Asian countries that can't stand other certain parts of certain type of Asian countries. But see, again, those things are not talked about among American blacks, right? Because obviously there's so many different problems going on. Right, but this goes on every day, every day. And even in America, there's no pan greatness of Asianness among various types of Asian groups. Please, please. You think they personnel come from various parts of the Asia from Asia continent, and come over to America and they're just pan Asian love with each other? No, it doesn't go like that. Now there's some of them come together against American blacks and certain other different things, but there's no pan-Asian love like that. But one of the last things I want to show. Oh, I'm sorry. So I bring that balloon up because it's interesting again how numbers of Asian personnel, the ones I'm talking about, were, oh man, this is the white Republican and it's racist. But at the same time, they don't talk about how many numbers of Asian personnel are extremely racist toward American blacks. I'm trying to see, should I show? Let me just show something for, you know what? No. Man, so much stuff. I'm gonna show you something. Right. Let me show you something. Now remember what this that arrow, this particular arrow is saying, right? Talking about, black race and all that nonsense, making assumptions. And well, I kind of heard, some of them did this kind of harm, or some of them sit there and took the lives of some type of Arab Muslims. Like, who are you talking about? Show me the statistics on that part, foolish person, right? When again, American blacks make up around 40 to 44 million people in America, and you're talking about, you want to say Arab Muslim, however the terminology is, makes about, I think, a little bit over 3 million, 3 to 4 million, if that. So you're talking about maybe around 1% to 2.5% of the whole freaking population that most American blacks won't even see numbers of Arab-sized Muslim people overall, except unfortunately in certain places, in certain cities, and certain things, and that's mostly in stores and other different places. But let me sit there and just show you something on that.
By the store in their community, they want to see it shut down for good.
Last week, 56-year-old Gregory Evans stopped in the Princess Market convenience store on Raleigh Road. Once inside, his family says Evans started having a seizure and was confronted by the clerk behind the counter. Cell phone video shows what happened next. The victim's sister says Evans was hospitalized after the beating, and on social media,
Let me play that again.
By the store in their community, they want to see it shut down for good.
Last week, 56-year-old Gregory Evans stopped in the Princess Market convenience store on Raleigh Road. Once inside, his family says Evans started having a seizure and was confronted by the clerk behind the counter. Cell phone video shows what happened next. The victim's sister says Evans was hospitalized after the beating, and on social media,
That was so extremely disgusting.
WRAL sent them the video. They investigated and arrested 68-year-old Sobi Hassan, charging the employee with... WRAL sent them the video. They investigated and arrested 68-year-old Sobi Hassan, charging the employee with... WRAL sent them the video. They investigated and arrested 68-year-old Sobi Hassan, charging the employee with...
Did that person look like what we think is an Asian person? Did that person look like what we think is a Native American? No. So could this person have been possibly an Arab? Or possibly a Muslim, non-black Muslim person? And if so, where's all the different Arab and Muslim groups at talking about that? This was a clerk at some kind of store. I think this is in North Carolina. I think it was in North Carolina. And that foolish particular Arab woman had the nerve. And how many numbers of Arab women are just like her? How many numbers of Arab males are just like her? How many numbers of non-black Muslim males, non-black Muslim females are like her? Again, I'm not talking about the ones who are not like that. So please don't even play that game. See, something about numbers of Arab personnel, be it men and women, numbers of non-black Muslim males and females, that has also disdain for American blacks. When again, their percentage of population is so small in America as well. It's ridiculous, the nonsense that accepted by numbers of American blacks toward numbers of Arabs. Since we're relating to what this foolish particular Arab woman was talking about and her foolish assumptions of what she heard some uh, Arabs, Muslim had some kind of problem with some American blacks. Mm, mm, mm.
Peace, perhaps on your side, Maximus Scum. Yes, but not on ours. Permit me to inform you that an enemy which appears to be peaceful may in fact be merely biding its time.
Yes. Enemies who know they are, that hide among various type of cultures. What, you think there's no enemies among certain numbers of Arabs, certain numbers of Arab males and females, certain numbers of non-black female Muslims, certain females or males? I'm talking about the ones who know they are, that smile. Or Muslims don't even smile at American blacks anyway, right? But to sit there and they don't for one thing about themselves, and they can't. Many of them can't stand American blacks, but she gonna make the freaking assumption about what she don't know, or non-constructive assumption on that. And just like old Megatron from Beast Wars was telling Optimus Primo, and Transformers, this particular Transformers, some people disappear. Let me play this again.
Peace, perhaps on your side, Maximus Scum. Yes, but not on ours. Permit me to inform you that an enemy which appears to be peaceful may in fact be merely biding its time.
And this goes for however numbers of Bassi versions of numbers of Arabs. This goes for certain numbers of Bassi versions of Muslims, about the ones who know they are. This certainly goes for various other groups, but I'm trying to stick to what this particular topic is, right? And unfortunately, millions of American blacks still haven't got it through their skull, right? That they only have half a generation to one generation left for the overall complete destruction of the American black culture overall. Too many problems, and keep allowing people to put them inside a people of color banner, a minority banner, and just like this particular Arab woman or Arab man, the one that was beaten down, that innocent black male. By the way, he had a seizure, and they put him in a hospital, and that beaten down as if he was like nothingness. Animal better not get beat down like that, man. They'd be put in jail and probably put a felony put it in. But this guy, and you look this guy up, you be like, and there's really nothing going on. You don't see really nothing going on. Golly, boy. And trans relay that over, and that was a black male that whooped the living snot out of that what can be an Arab man or Muslim man, however it is, and let that have been an American black man and did that to him. There'd have been all kind of Arab groups, all time Muslim groups, all time political personnel. How many different type of people come out? Oh, hey, look, coming out the woodwork. Look. Black folks are anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, right? I know that game very well. It's disgusting. I'm gonna play that video one last time of this off-base, warp-minded, this particular Arab woman before I close off with one last video. Oh, sorry about that. Let me try this one last time. Give me 1 second. Let me try this one last time. Okay, that for some reason that's getting stuck. Let me try this one last time before I just close it out with the other video. Give me 1 moment. Let me try this again. Video file.
Why do Arabs hate black people? I was asked that question. Arabs don't hate black people. Newsflash. Okay, our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his imam was a black guy named Bilal. So they have nothing against the black race. It's just majority of Arabs or Muslims that dislike black people have either been wronged by them or like some way wronged or have heard stories of multiple people being wronged or like taken advantage of or murdered or something by that race. So they hold a grudge against that race particularly, but not all Arabs hate black people. It's against our religion to like discriminate against skin color, especially since there are a lot of black Muslims and we don't judge about them. So it's majority of whenever Arabic people are like cautious about black people, it's either because something happened or they just heard a story. For example, 9/11, how do
And this foolishness. And she again, nonsensical assumptions. And she said herself, the majority. She said Arabs, Muslims, right? Had this basically assumption about blacks. Oh, she's talking about American blacks. I'm just guessing on this, right? The nerve of her, right? That you like what are black folks using them? How in the top pot weed is American blacks using Arabs or Muslims when they are giving however number of assistance to run as fast as possible from over where they come from and get whatever resources, getting businesses or getting houses or getting all these different benefits over American blacks? They utilize people of color minority or other people give them those resources, utilize the people of color minority, bypass American black specifically. Man, he's a crowd duck hoop of a person. Not her personally, but her mentality. Because insultingness. That this stuff is allowed. What the majority of Arabs or Muslim heard. Is she stupid like that? What? And then she had a narrative to bring up September 2000, 2001. First of all, was it American blacks that was in there and said, that's a Muslim. That's an Arab. They were responsible for that. Of course not. Was it American black political personnel that was sitting there? We got to get some laws, get these policies against these Muslims, against these Arab people? Of course not. Those are personnel with a predominant culture and however other personnel that came up with those different things. Not American blacks. She's a freaking fool the way she's coming across. And it gets tiring of how many personnel from different cultures and backgrounds, certain lifestyle categories, certain types of Native Americans, certain types of immigrant groups, border. It's like this insultingness toward American blacks, and this stuff is not checkmated. But then again, the stuff is allowed because they understand collectively that this stuff by millions of American blacks is accepted. Just like again, how many American blacks by the millions accept being put in a people of color minority-based category on that. And before I show this last video, and interesting when they make sure, don't make sure not to bring up hey, what about that little thing called the Arab slave trade that predates the European Atlantic slave trade by several hundred years? What about that thing again called Arab slave trade? Which still there's high numbers of Arab personnel, high numbers of Muslim personnel in certain parts of Africa that are still doing a type of enslavement or slavery of various types of Africans. That is a known darn thing over there. Numbers in them know it. So this particular nonsensical toes poop of a person talking about what her assumption, her foolishness. Because again, it ain't just her, not saying personally, she's just a knucklehead, nonsensical person that's just babbling of nothingness. But how many numbers of Arab personnel like her mindset? How many numbers of Muslim personnel, non-black, that have a mindset like her? Even though, again, she's talking about, Islam, we don't discriminate. You're a lie. Again, there are how numbers of black Muslims that tell people that they've been discriminated against, again, not only based upon racial, but also among numbers of other Muslim personnel. Play your game with somebody else on that. It's just silly. This stuff is allowed. But again, they do not like hearing about the Arab slave trade. They don't like it. Last video.
So you might have some romance with one of these religions. I have no romance with any of them. I have a romance with reality and truth. And the chips can fall where they may after I tell it. As for friends, you have had no friends. When they discovered you, they began to prey on you.
I must play that one last time for this show.
So you might have some romance with one of these religions. I have no romance with any of them. I have a romance with reality and truth. And the chips can fall where they may after I tell it. As for friends, you have had no friends. When they discovered you, they began to prey on you.
The great Dr. John Henry Clark. The American black scholars like that in those 80s. I said some in the 70s, but especially in certain parts of the 80s and early 90s, of no comparison of numbers of American black males now, with few exceptions. In the system, you're talking about how like the dream team like basketball. There is some American black scholars in those especially 80s and 90s. Man, you have them on a team of 10 or 15, and there will be no other personnel from no other culture, no other background, no other alternative lifestyle category, no other what we call Native Americans, no border breaking legal immigration personnel, no types of what we think is Arabs or Muslims, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just giving an example. Could sit there and defeat that black scholarship of the 80s and 90s because their knowledge was too much. Whoo, their knowledge will be too much. Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show. I appreciate it. Give me 1 second here on.